Call the meeting order, it's 4:31, February 12th.
Ready?
Yep.
Mr. Moran?
Here.
Ms. Koenig?
Here.
Ms. Allen?
Here.
Ms. Redden?
Here.
Mrs. Demakia?
Here.
Mr. Henry?
Here. All right, do we have any public comments? Nope.
Nobody signed in?
All right. Then we'll proceed to the Facilities and Finance and Audit Committee, Mr. Moran.
Well, don't we do the director's report?
It just changed. Here.
It's changed.
Yeah, she
Changed
got some
today.
different
Midday.
things on
Oh,
that.
here,
Oh, my goodness.
there you go.
All right, when did that change?
I think about 9:30?
Yeah, Smalley got some.
Oh,
more
so
input.
this isn't right.
Let me see.
All right, okay, all right, then we'll actually, Eva Jane Romaine, Director's Report, Paula
You got it.
Graham Heeger.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. First, we'll do some quick highlights of 2018. We continued a great year last year. As everybody here is hopefully well aware, Library Journal did rate us again as a 5-star library for the 6th year in a row. Once again, highest rating possible for libraries with a budget of $30 million or more, and we ranked 2nd in the country in circulation, in the Library Journals Index, and we ranked 3rd in the nation in circulation. We received a vote of confidence in May of last year with taxpayers generously supporting a $1 mil levy, and that's going to support our much-needed facilities improvements, our accessibility projects, including Price Hill, a project that we are well underway doing that one, and demonstrates our commitment to community engagement. In the fall of last year, we worked with Group 4, Architecture, Research, and Planning, to gather community input and feedback about the main library atrium, as well as for the Price Hill location. We have those 6 planning principles: maximize access, transparency, customer focus, operational sustainability, industry-leading excellence, diversity, and inclusion. These principles are going to guide our work throughout the facilities master plan and ensure that we build next-generation libraries that are flexible, adaptable, and sustainable. Just a quick note, too, that something that we do as a slightly more traditional service, we serve young users, and in 2018, our Summer Adventure Program had a 12% increase. We partnered with local organizations to serve meals and snacks, and we also offered multiple brain camps and mini brain camps. We had more than 3,000 children attend those, and another new and successful element was tutoring at 12 branches. Additionally, in the fall, we continued that service to young people with the YMCA, where we worked on our pop-up preschool offered at Deer Park and St. Bernard. We expanded our laptop kiosk initiative, placing kiosks at 3 branches at the main library, and also introduced the Crayola kiosk for children. It's proven very popular. We have 2 downstairs here in the youth library, and we're going to be implementing additional locations pretty promptly here in 2019. And of course, everybody is aware that last year was a year of transition for our library. Kimber L. Fender, our long-served leader, retired in June, and the board undertook an extensive national search for the new Eva Jane Romaine Coombe Library Director. The search engaged community and staff quite robustly, with an emphasis on collaboration and communication. An ideal foundation for all of the exciting work we'll be undertaking in 2019 and beyond. And just on a personal note, I certainly want to thank everyone for an amazing, supportive year, for their support, the community, the staff, the volunteers, and the board. We had a great year in 2018. So moving on to some information about 2019, we had the State of the Library on February 1st. We had about 40 community leaders and stakeholders attended that. It was really early morning, and it was also cold and sort of snowy, but we outlined the library's 2019 plans and priorities. Board members Monica Conan and Diane Cunningham-Redding reviewed the Board of Trustees' adopted planning principles, which I just mentioned. We had some community partners, Daniel Betts from the CRC, he's the Executive Director, and Jorge, who's the Executive Director of the YMCA, spoke about the partnerships we have with those organizations. We also had Foundation Board President Scott Richards, MC. I highlighted the Facilities Master Plan and focus areas including workforce development, again, service to young people, and also extending our reach through technology and innovation. Speaking of the Facilities Master Plan, invitation has been sent to about 50 community, business, and government leaders and stakeholders to participate in our Community Advisory Committee. Actually, it's 57. I just got that number this morning. So we had 57 invitations go out. We've had about 20 people accept. The first meeting of the group will be February 26th as part of the overall kickoff. The intention of this group is to provide feedback about planning activities and communicate with the larger Hamilton County community about the library's engagement, process, and planning processes.
20 people is pretty nice turnout.
I know, I think so. And they've been enthusiastic. The people who have RSVP'd have been like, yes. So we anticipate getting some more folks. I'm very excited about that. We, of course, are also going to engage the staff, talk about enthusiasm. I sent out the invitations yesterday, and all but one person has already responded like, absolutely, I'm on board. So we're going to have a good time. They're going to come together on the 25th for the staff element and feedback as well. Did want to mention that I attended the American Library Association midwinter meeting in late January. I had the opportunity to go to 2 pre-conferences, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion in Public Libraries, and Advancing Racial Equity in Public Libraries. Also, I did meet with a couple publisher representatives about options for libraries and publishers to work together in the evolving ebook market. So
Was this for staff or for the public?
this one was, it was for anybody who wanted to attend, yes.
No, but I meant your topics, were they geared towards staff, library staff, or to the public?
I think one was more toward library staff, how we should do it internally, and the other is working with users and customers, yes. They were a little bit different focus in that way. That's a really good point, absolutely. I do want to mention that Rosemary Wells, who is a well-known children's book illustrator, some of you are shaking your head. She has some famous books, Nosy Nora. She is generously offering us the opportunity to exhibit some of her original artwork. So about 30 pen and ink drawings on a long-term loan in the children's library. So she focuses on giving children the opportunity to use original art and encourage children to create their own art. She does have some specific terms that she's sending us as we go along, and I don't have examples yet of exactly what she would provide to us, but I wanted to let everybody know. One of the terms that she mentions, and there is a little bit of information printed out next to your yeah, right there. She does give you the loan until she passes away, at which time it will revert back to her next of kin. So it's not a permanent acquisition of her art, but she does say as long as we have it, it needs to be displayed. So it's a great opportunity, but it's a little bit unusual for what we often have.
What's her connection to Cincinnati Library?
Well, she actually, somebody from Milwaukee referred her, the director that I know in Milwaukee said, hey, you might want to talk to the people in Cincinnati. They got a lot of focus on children. Do you want to ask them? So the director in Milwaukee, whose name also happens to be Paula, so I can always remember that, she sent an email and said, hey, you might want to consider this, and Rosemary Wells was very enthusiastic about it. Yeah, yes,
good.
absolutely.
That's great.
I also wanted to mention, there's another picture there from Josh Stout, who is a local over-the-Rhine resident, an artist, whose artwork you can see throughout downtown. He has offered to create artwork for the brick wall along the perimeter of the library. So that's that kind of unusual abstract art. That's his proposal.
Oh, that's your proposal?
Yeah, that's the proposal. It's not permanent. He did emphasize that it can be quickly removed. And he has offered to donate his time and all necessary materials. So it's not permanent. Again, it's not a permanent acquisition, but he said he'd like to do it. We went back to him and said, well, what about different colors or design? But Mr. Stout says that's what he likes, that's what he wants to do. So if everyone, what we're asking for is okay to move forward with that. And again, it's not permanent.
It's fine.
Petition policy update. We have updated our petitioning on library premises and distribution and posting of non-library material policies. These updates were reviewed, I would like to say, extensively with the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. That's a bit of a challenging thing to get straight. So we tried to make sure that our policies align with our practices. And I will also note, we were not totally strict. There is always the option you could say you can't do anything, but we found that this policy we thought would give us a little bit more room and put us in less confrontation with some folks as well.
Well, these days, the public is caught on to the notion of referendums. So everybody is into doing something about referendums on many sides. So I'm glad we dealt with that. And I like the policy that you came up with.
Good, thank you. And we also wanted to get it approved here so that we could do it in advance of the May election, so that it's ready and in place. LOC Legislative Day, the Ohio Library Council's annual legislative day will be April 9th in Columbus. Please note that is a board day. So they will have a lunch, but we are going to be having some opportunity perhaps to interact with our legislators the day before, and I can give board members that information. But since it is a budget year, we do put a little bit more emphasis on making sure they're aware of all that we're doing. Did want to note that I have been appointed to the Southwest Ohio Regional Workforce Investment Board, catchy title of SWORWIB. This appointment supports our continuing workforce development activities with community and government agencies, including Ohio Means Jobs and the Hamilton County Department of Jobs and Family Services. It is a 2-year appointment. And finally, I do want to note Overdrive, our ebook service. Some of you may have the Overdrive app. The new one is called Libby on your phone. In 2018, our circulation through Overdrive reached 2.3 million checkouts. We are also celebrating our 10 millionth Overdrive checkout this month. Our circulation of more than 2 million last year through Overdrive, which is a very large market share of public library e-materials offering, is among the highest non-consortium in North America. So it's really an impressive list. There are a couple that do a 4 or 5 million a year, but they are New York Public or King County. So we're on the 2 million plus a year, and that is an impressive thing. And I think a testament to the early adoption of ebooks here and how much we put funds into that early and have built a really great collection. So that is the end of my report.
We need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So now you can look at this.
Now, next on the revised agenda is the Facilities and Finance Audit Committee, Mr. Moran.
Okay, we received the bids for the north building roof. Lowest bidder was Imbus Roofing Company, and the bid was for $1,099,500. We have a 10% contingency, so the total construction budget will be $1,209,450. And we're requesting approval for the director to approve change orders that do not increase the overall budget and to execute the certificate of substantial completion. All change orders will be reported to the board for confirmation. And we're asking for authorization to go for public bidding for the 2018 energy retrofit. The total anticipated cost estimate for the contract is $2.735 million. That's a lot of money, but there's a lot of work to be done, and so we're asking approval to go out for bids on the energy retrofit. And there's a lot of information there about what we're planning to do, so you can read it at your leisure. The 2018 audit will be performed by the auditor's the state's office and is scheduled to begin the first week in March. As always, the auditors have extended an offer for a pre-audit conference with the board, which is absolutely not necessary. So we're asking to waive the pre-audit conference by the board. And we have a school board, Marymount School Board request for an easement. So we'll work with the prosecutor's office to get that done. We use a temporary part of our library property for construction trailer and construction parking, and license agreement for that. And we're looking for approval to go ahead and do that. Theft of library property, we lost a laptop from Price Hill, which is located at CRC, valued at $700. Police report has been filed. The suspect was identified and arrested and attempting to take another laptop. So he thought it was pretty easy, so he came back. So we'll try to get restitution there, but it's not likely. I'm sure it was used for drug money. Then for informational purpose only, we did have a public feedback session. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We went after the meeting in January with the board when we talked through the options for the lot on the renovation and addition and looked at those various choices about where we might put a renovation to the Price Hill building. We went back to the community, and we're fortunate enough to have the architects, FTC&H, Kristen and Michael, present pretty fully various options. The community was very engaged. was a thoughtful meeting. It lasted quite a bit of time, and they had a lot of input about where they think the parking would work for their community and some various ideas about how what they would like to see us enter and exit that lot. So we just made sure that we took their feedback. Beth made great notes. We have an extensive, large panel of notes so that we could give that to the architects who have been considering that when they have done their next bit of consideration about where the parking and which part of that area that is possible for the renovation we might use.
And we did give, in our meeting we had before this meeting, we did give some direction to the architects on what we thought they should pursue. We also suggested that we look to make the building LEED certified. And you have there the milestone dates. We could begin starting construction in November, so a 9-month period between now and November, and then construction is expected to take 15 to 18 months. And we did discuss the Madisonville and Walnut Hills branch. We do have some property adjacent to our Walnut Hills branch under contract and is scheduled to, do we have a closing schedule or not?
End of
we're hoping
March.
yes,
Okay.
but it's not confirmed.
And so we did give some direction also to the architects on the Walnut Hills scope there. Walnut Hills is actually, today, Walnut Hills is bigger than Price Hill. It's not handicap accessible, but the first thing to do is make both floors handicap accessible, which would give us a little over 12,000 square feet, which was larger than what Price Hill will be after we put an addition on there, but there's a lot more usage at Walnut Hills branch versus the Price Hill branch. So we'll probably add some square footage to that, but we do have additional property for to do that, and also have parking on our lot versus across the street. So I'll move to approve the report.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the next, thank you, Bill. The next report is the Human Resources Committee report, and that is Nadine Allen.
Good afternoon. This is a web report from February 4, 2019. It's from Carl Allison, our Human Resources Director, or former Director. Additional shelter positions. The library has added 6 additional shelter positions at the following locations: Avondale, Coreyville, Mount Healthy, Northside. This is part of the individuals within the various communities we serve. Reimbursement of relocation expenses policy. The library has created a policy to provide reimbursement for physical moving expenses in those situations when it is needed to secure a top candidate. The new policy is attached as Exhibit 1. And here, I'm going to read the policy now, what that is, and move on to the next item. Providing reimbursement of relocation expenses for senior level leadership candidates is at times used to attract and secure a preferred candidate. The library will provide reimbursement for physical moving expenses only, defined as assistance with expenses associated with relocating one's personal belongings. No other expenses are applicable for reimbursement, including but not limited to travel expenses of any nature, including but not limited to mileage and/or airfare, property transactions such as commission, costs to turn on and off utilities, costs to remove a vehicle, child care, elder care assistance, home sale assistance, temporary housing, etc., and not intended to be all-inclusive. Physical moving expense reimbursements are available for senior level leadership positions, salary grades 12 and above. The library will gross up any reimbursement amount to account for any taxes on the amount the library is paying back to the employee. The total amount of reimbursement a candidate can be offered is $5,000. This will cost the library a maximum of $8,000 after the tax gross up. Eligibility requirements also require the candidate to be relocating more than 50 miles from their current residence. When a candidate is receiving reimbursement for relocation expenses, Human Services will contact the library's fiscal office and notify them of the agreed upon amount. The fiscal office will then calculate the amount to pay the candidate in order for the candidate to receive the agreed upon amount after taxes. In order to receive reimbursement for qualified expenses, a candidate must provide an itemized receipt for expenses covered by this policy to the Human Resources Director within 90 days of incurring the expense. If the candidate voluntarily resigns from the library within 18 months of being hired, they will be required to repay the full amount, 100%, of reimbursed expenses they receive from the library. Offering an expense reimbursement should be considered as a last resort during negotiations with a potential candidate. This was approved on March 1st, it has not been approved yet. It was reviewed January 30th, 2019. HR Director resigns. Carl Allison, HR Director, announced that he will be leaving the library to pursue other opportunities. His last day at the library will be February 22nd. Does this require a?
Yes.
It does. And it needs a motion for approval?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
I want to say thank you, Carl, for all your work doing
Yeah,
the candidate.
did you submit a resignation form? We deny
We
it.
have to accept it. I don't remember
was
this.
afraid
I
that
don't remember us accepting it.
Thank you very much, that was very kind. I do appreciate that.
All right, next on the agenda is the strategy committee, and that would be Elizabeth Lamacchia.
Okay. All right, our annual cardholder survey, which we launched on January 17th and runs through February 22nd. So far, more than 4,500 cardholders have taken the survey. The survey focused on satisfaction and awareness in order to provide the baseline information that we use. Workforce development, working with the Hamilton County Jobs and Family Services. This report's full of a lot of names. HCJFX, that's the first one. To plan and implement and evaluate a series of 8 workshops targeting their clients in the Millville community who need help in obtaining employment or help with the supports like childcare and transportation that are needed to make employment possible. These workshops are going to run in March and April at the Northside branch, and they will include an adult literacy component. Cincinnati Works is piloting an effort at the main library, which will embed the Cincinnati Works staff in the main library's tech center. They're going to provide a point of need support for individuals who need job-related help, such as resume writing or applying for work online. The goal for them, their staff, is to establish the initial contact with job seekers and then to follow up to see if they need more help later on. Ohio is going to celebrate In-Demand Jobs Week, May 6th to 10th. The Office of Workforce Transformation, OWT, promotes this statewide celebration of jobs, industries, and skills that are in demand. We've received early positive attention from the state, highlighting our Tribrary initiative. Student success initiatives. We've been selected to be part of the Urban Libraries Council, Partners for Middle School STEM Library Cohort. And more than 50 libraries submitted the applications, and we are one of 10 who have received this. This initiative is centered on the best practices for developing the middle school STEM and to meet the next generation workforce. The staff are going to participate in the multiple learning expenses, and the cost of associated travel will be covered as part of our selection. The kickoff is March 13th to 14th in Chicago. Is somebody from here gonna, you've got a whole team going?
Yeah, a couple people, yeah.
All right, in partnership with YMCA Greater Cincinnati, the popular pop-up preschool in Deer Park was such a success. We're going to include this pilot with other, expand it to other locations in the fall. Because students often struggle in school because of issues that are beyond their control, in January, the Lighthouse Youth Advisory Council is partnering with the library's youth outreach program to have a presence in teen space. And on the day they visited, the council interacted with 54 young people between 18 and 24. 6 of them are connected to the council's youth outreach program to receive assistance in obtaining housing, shelter, and other services, and 10 more youth sleeping in unstable situations. The Talbot House Behavioral Health Resources will provide training to managers in February related to the opioid crisis. That is, 1, designed to increase knowledge of community partner resources. 2, how to better engage people with the people. And 3, techniques for the staff to reduce their own compassion fatigue, which I guess is a really big part of all of it.
Absolutely.
Additionally, an opioid crisis community forum was held at the main library on February 2nd. They had more than 80 attendees, and it featured a discussion with panel experts from Prevention First, Talbot House, Hamilton County Public Health, and Hamilton County Heroin Coalition. And finally, the library is partnering with the Soapbox Cincinnati to present the Civics Essential Game Hour on March 22nd at the Sharonville Library. It's designed to improve the civics knowledge of Ohio adults, and the attendees will engage in an hour of fun, competing with each other with basic civics knowledge, and see where they are in relation to the spectrum of fellow Ohioans. They will also receive a local civics resource list prepared in collaboration with the state of Ohio. And this is FYI.
Now, I'm sure you're all gonna go to the Civics Bowl out at Sharonville, right?
Thank you.
Happening.
All right, the next item is the Technology Committee report, and we'll ask Monica Conan to do that.
Okay, happy to do that. So this is from Holbrook Sample, Regional Manager and Interim Technology Manager. So the main library holds pickup lockers. The holds pickup lockers at the main library became available for customer use beginning on January 10th. We will begin promoting this new service and have already had 11 checkouts from the lockers in January. There's also a distribution center update. Staff, in coordination with our consultant, John Huber, have completed the planning work for the layout, work processes, and new delivery routes for the distribution center. Next steps include planning for the transition of work from the main library to the distribution center.
Do we have a target date there?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. We are hoping that we will begin moving over second quarter of this year and operational
Maybe closer to August.
August.
Yeah, because we're not opening the bids until
Oh, that's
the
right.
20th of February.
But we
So-
still hope to have the operations
Yes.
by the end of this year. It should
Oh,
be
yeah,
functional.
yeah, I would say by the end of the third quarter, we
Yeah.
should be over there and working good.
So there'll be more, now that they're done with the planning, the bids are the next step that we'll possibly take.
John Hoover is the builder.
What?
I see the builder, John Hoover.
He's the person who worked with Holbrook and his team to do the design for the routes and
Yeah.
all of the internal
Okay,
the logistics.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got it,
logistics,
exactly.
there you go.
Yes.
All right, next report is Operations Committee, and that would be Diane Cunningham-Redden.
Right. Tech Center Makerspace Manager Bill Hayden and Team Manager Nate Kelly. Bill Hayden, Tech Center Makerspace Manager, began working for the library as the Tech Center Manager in 2013. With over 71 public access computers, a 30-bay laptop kiosk, and 25 computer and technology-related classes per month, the Tech Center is a crucial service for job seekers, students, small business owners, and many other members of the community. In 2015, Bill's role expanded to include the management of the new makerspace area. The makerspace provides users of all ages and skill levels with access to technology and equipment they may not have access otherwise, and an ability to use and the opportunity to use. Before coming to the library, Bill's work experience included 6 years in the United States Navy, 20 years at Luxottica Retail and Information Systems, and 4 years as the Director of Technical Services at Luxottica. Nate Pelly, Tech Center Makerspace Team Leader, began his career at the library as a student assistant at the Delhi Township branch in 1997. After briefly leaving the library in 1999, Nate returned in 2000 as a shelver in the Education and Religion Department. Nate was promoted to Library Services Assistant 2 in the Education and Religion Department, where he worked until becoming part of the original staff of the Technology Center when it opened in 2007. In 2016, he was promoted to Team Leader, Tech Center Makerspace. He is also a graduate of the 2016 Tomorrow's Manager Program, supporting job seekers, small businesses, nonprofits, and creators.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're here.
All right,
They're gonna do a
would you
presentation.
Okay.
care to make some comment about your capabilities and abilities?
Care to stand up for any questions about why you left the library in 1999? Explain yourself.
Wow. Yes, he saw the light and came back. Now, I will say that these gentlemen have put together a PowerPoint. They are technology folks, so they're gonna do it all the way. Okay.
Perfect.
There you go, guys.
Bells and whistles.
Nate and I are going to give an overview of the Tech Center Makerspace, and I'll start out with the Tech Center. You got the clicker? Yes, I do. In 2018, the Tech Center helped over 4,200 library customers.
Use your microphone.
4,200 library customers with workforce development.
Well, it's
Yeah,
only
that's
for the
just for the
recording.
television. That's-
Speak
Yeah.
real loud, Bill.
It's just to feed the camera, there's
Yeah.
no speaker.
Okay.
Just give it real loud.
Related tasks, development of job applications, resumes, related tasks. We also helped over 4,700 customers with social services such as unemployment, welfare, social security, housing, grants, and phone assistance. In 2018, we reduced the overall number of desktop computers from 106 to 71. We added a 30-bay laptop kiosk, shown here. We added 4 workstations dedicated for customers working on workforce development projects. Down here, it allows for longer reservations. We help them with resumes. We help them with job applications. We help them with job searches. That's what those are primarily
Your
for.
microphone up and then we're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also added 2 workstations for blind and visually impaired customers. It allows for multicolored keyboards, which you will see right here, zoom text on the software, enhanced vision scanner, which is also right here, and an optical character recognition, which converts text to audio, and a braille keyboard. We also had a video conferencing station, which allows users to conduct video job interviews, communicate with friends and families across the country, and remotely chat with family or friends who are incarcerated. We also are adding 2 charging cables.
Right. Yep, I'll trade you spots here. So for the Makerspace, we're actually just celebrated our 4th anniversary back on January 26th, so it's been an incredible 4 years so far. The Makerspace provides users of all ages and skill levels, I think we may have heard this before, with access to technology and equipment that may not be otherwise accessible. Things like 3D printers, a laser cutter, vinyl printers, Adobe software, and more, all in the name of creativity and making.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Which one of those is most popular?
That is a tremendous question. Right now, the most popular piece of equipment that we have is our laser cutter and engraver. So on our software, or our reservation system, you can book things up to 6 weeks in advance. We are currently at a 6-week wait for the laser engraver. In 2018, we helped over 1,700 small businesses and over 2,100 nonprofits create signage, banners, stickers, buttons, websites, commercials, podcasts, and more.
Can I ask a question about for nonprofits? Because
Absolutely.
I'm familiar with nonprofits who need this type of service. So is it about getting on the waiting list?
It can be getting on the waiting list. Sometimes it's a matter of just showing up. For some things, you can walk in and, make buttons, for example, right off the bat there. A lot of times it's easy to come in and do, maybe the podcast or some photography.
So what's the cost? How, is there a charge? Because if it's a group doing something major, they might want 500.
Right, and absolutely. Basically, the way that we charge is the only time that we're really charging you is if you walk out of here with something physical that you didn't have when you came in. So if you think about making stickers or something like that, there's a charge. It's $2 per linear foot of stickers. It's per linear foot. So the way that it works, I know. The way that it works, we have materials 30 inches wide. The printable area is about 28 inches on it. And then what we charge you is based off of length. So you could print, depending on the size of your stickers, dozens of stickers for a couple dollars, really. It's very, very reasonable. Some things like the recording booth where you make a podcast or a photography area, those are free to use. So all you need to do is come and use that space, and it's free and available for anybody. To answer your questions? Excellent. Makerspace usage continues to grow. Nearly 23,000 computer logins in 2018. That's up 12% from the previous year. That does not count overall visitors to the space, though. That's just computer logins. That's not counting the fact that 4 people might be gathered around that one particular computer. Also in 2018, the Makerspace hosted over 100 tours, field trips, or group outings with over 1,500 attendees of all ages. We were involved in over a dozen outreach events, including the Maker Fair, World Maker Day, Library Day at the Reds, Girl Scout events, and several STEM and technology innovation fairs at local schools, reaching thousands of community members. We also hosted after-hours events for the Girl Scouts as well as the Association for Library Service to Children. This was kind of covered already. Our vinyl printers remain very popular with heavy usage every day and wait times regularly reaching a week or more. That's an example of some stickers there. Our laser engraver and cutter is currently our most popular piece of equipment, with reservations currently booked about 6 weeks in advance. Our espresso book machine recently published its 4,000th book. And on January 27th, we added our newest piece of equipment, which is a UV printer. So with the UV printer, you can print directly onto a bunch of different types of material. The most popular thing right now that we're seeing is foam board, but you can also print on things like glass, wood, metal, plastic, and really the list goes on and on. We've seen a lot of really creative usage for it so far, and it's only been out for a couple weeks.
How about t-shirts?
What is a UV printer?
T-shirts is the one thing. That is a very good question. Fabric is really the one thing that you cannot print directly on using the UV printer. So the way that it works is it's a lot like a traditional printer, but it uses UV light to immediately cure the ink onto the object. So for example, you can print directly on something like a phone case, and it will be immediately cured and ready to go, and there it is. So,
Bring your own media in,
absolutely.
slide it in. and-
Absolutely. Yeah, it's almost kind of scary to think of the possibilities because the possibilities are so large for what you can do with it. And then one last thing that I'll mention here about things that we do in the tech center and the makerspace is we also run Treehouse, which has been a very, very popular e-resource through the library over the last couple years. Treehouse helps customers learn complex skills through interactive, self-paced video courses. Topics covered include app development, coding, and web design. A bunch of really high-end things that we would never be able to offer here, probably one-on-one for people, but we are really blessed to have Treehouse as a resource. Just recently, we were on the news last week, if you caught that. The library offers 150 seats or spots, which are available for 6-week sessions. Since the initial rollout in April 2017, over 1,300 customers have used the Treehouse service, and over 400, and actually it's closer to 600 now because of the media from last week, are still on the waiting list for it. So I do have, and that's back over to Bill.
Good question. Are these statistics just for the main library, or are they all the maker spaces around the whole system?
These statistics here are just for the main library.
Well, how do they compare to the ones at the local branches?
I don't think we have a number for the.
That's a really good question. Yeah, I'm not sure what the numbers would be for some of the
I mean, do
branches.
they have long waits there that you know of? or any
They don't
They
have
do
a lot of
not.
the same equipment, so we have 3D printers, for example, they might have sewing machines. We're the only location with laser engraver, the only location with vinyl printers. So, yeah, it's kind of tougher to say on some of the stuff. I do have some examples here. This is something that was UV printed, a lovely image of our fountain out in front of the building. Has a nice little gloss effect there on the wall.
Yeah, you can pass it around.
Absolutely, I'll start right here. I'll pass around some cool things. We have an example book from the espresso book machine, Pride and Prejudice. This is one of my favorites. This is from the laser engraver. So this was etched, the dish etched with the Wayne Enterprises insignia there.
Is that the Batman way?
Batman is our makerspace.
We have quite a few Batman, a lot of Avengers stuff.
Yes.
I have a 3D printed
Oh, yeah.
chess piece, the Queen. And then I have some stickers, so for all the board members, we have some stickers. And we also have
Yay.
some magnets.
All right.
Cool.
So I will pass these around. And those are for you guys.
So, a couple questions.
Absolutely.
With the tremendous growth that you've had, what's your biggest issue?
That's a really good question. One of the things that I often tell people is we want to be popular, but we don't want to be too popular because we still want to be able to provide the level of service that we do. So things like adding the UV printer, that's, it's a great thing. Sometimes it gets a little scary thinking about, if we have a lot of people in the makerspace, that's great, but we still have to be able to support the people that come in. So that can be a challenge sometimes when we get extremely popular. And a lot of the equipment, it's not like you press a button and you're done with it. There's a lot of staff involvement there as well, so,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so do you need more equipment?
I think we're always looking to add equipment, absolutely. I mean, we have a list at all times. We need more staff to support the equipment. Right, that's the next thing is, I think, as usage continues to grow, absolutely, we can add more equipment, and ultimately more equipment, you have to add more staff to go with
So
it.
this may be a catch-22, but how do you let our customers know that you have a UV printer, for instance?
And that's a great question. Yeah, yeah, we've gotten a little bit of publicity for it. I think when Channel 12 was in last week, they plan on coming back and doing another story. So they're going to be doing that. And this sounds kind of funny in some cases. We often get questions from other makerspaces across the country asking, why are you guys so popular? What are you guys doing differently? And I think a lot of it, and this sounds kind of a cop-out answer in some cases, we have a great community who really supports the library and loves us, and they understand what we're doing. And we haven't had to do as much advertising as some other places. We've just
We can't promote it that much because it's a 6 week.
right, and that's just it. I mean, we struggle right now with that 6-week wait. If more people knew, I'm not sure how we would handle that. Yes.
A lot of maker spaces are only for children too. That's one problem that we have. A lot of places have, like Boone County has a nice maker space, but it's only for children. I love it because we're for everybody. And then we have as many elderly people as we do young people come into the maker space.
My question is, does the person bring in these pins, or do you have them here?
We
In
do.
other words,
We do have the magnets here. This,
everything you showed us, is that something that is available here? Or is it
absolutely.
something with us?
Yep. Yep.
They purchase those here.
Yep.
They can also print and design it here, and then also make it here.
I just want to also, these guys are being a little bit modest. The staff there is fantastic. Certainly that's true about the reason that we are successful, but they're unbelievable. And we are the only public library in Ohio currently that offers Treehouse, and many have been hesitant to jump into that because it's so popular. But Nate and Bill, and Nate has manually moderated that, and when we came to him with that opportunity, I don't think you missed a beat. I was a little like, do you think you can handle this? And Nate said, absolutely, Paula, that sounds great, and we have so much need for it. So,
Yeah.
I do think that part of the reason it's been so successful. And on the UV printer, these guys brought up, this is what we need, and they worked with Ryan, who I think many of you remember from the technology strategies, a great relationship, and he's sort of figured out how we could do it. So, kudos to you and to your staff. I agree with the community being great, but I also agree that staff here is extremely knowledgeable and extremely helpful and always willing to try something different, and it's just been fantastic.
They love what they do, and they also.
That's great.
You're doing fine work. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul, for the very kind words, and thank you, everybody. Any other questions?
Good job.
Great job, guys.
Love that.
Moving on. The United States Passport Application Acceptance Service expands. The main library has been a U.S. passport application acceptance facility since 2003. In the spring of 2018, service was expanded at both the Anderson branch and the Harrison branch as staff completed training to be passport agents. The expanded service has proven popular enough that 2 additional locations will be added this spring. Coreyville branch and Sims Township branch will begin service as soon as they receive their designation from the U.S. Department of State. Service at the branch locations is Saturdays only by appointment. Branch manager Casey Titzinger accepted to Public Library Association Leadership Academy. Casey, Covedale branch manager, has been accepted into the 2019 Public Library Association Leadership Academy. PLA is a division of the American Library Association. Casey has been selected as one of 28 exceptional librarians chosen to participate in the spring 2019 PLA Leadership Academy, which will be held March 25th to 29th in Chicago, Illinois. Career Online High School Graduation Event planned. The Career Online High School program administered through the Education and Homework Support Department continues to assist many non-traditional adult students with the completion of their high school coursework in pursuit of earning a high school equivalency credential. A graduation event will be held for several of the graduates and their families on Wednesday, February 20th in the evening at the main library. That's a great event. That's great.
Yeah.
St. Bernard Branch partners with Talbot House. In partnership with the Talbot House, the St. Bernard Branch Library will provide support with a recent grant Talbot House received to improve safety and safety awareness for seniors in the neighborhoods of St. Bernard and Elmwood Place. The library's role will be to assist in staging informational sessions, to hear concerns from seniors in the community, and to pass on safety information via a coffee chat forum. National Youth Foundation event. As part of the National Youth Foundation's Youth Writing Workshop program, students from Bond Hill Academy and Whitman Hills Academy have written original biographies of prominent Cincinnatians Oscar Robertson and Judge Nathaniel Jones, with forewords by Magic Johnson and President Jimmy Carter. Students presented copies to Mr. Robertson and Judge Jones on Saturday, January 19th at a well-attended main library program. Price Hill laptop theft update. On December 20, 2018, the theft of 2 laptops for the Price Hill branch's temporary location were reported. A third laptop was stolen on January 25, 2019. Police reports were filed with the individual responsible for the theft has been apprehended.
Was it one individual I heard
One
about one
person,
the second, that was
There
four?
were two, there were a total of 3. There were 2 that we talked about at the last board
Okay.
meeting. Yeah, and
It's
it was
the
the
same
same
person.
individual.
Same person.
Mhm. And it's someone that drug addiction.
Upcoming events and exhibits. African American History Month. Throughout February, the library will continue to celebrate Black History Month. Highlights include performances of Jackie Robinson and the Freedom Songs, the music of Black history by the Bright Star Touring Theater, a series of panel discussions and lectures about African Americans and their legacy of service to the local community. Read Across America. Each year, the library partners with the Cincinnati Museum Center to celebrate Read Across America, and the tradition will continue this year on Saturday, March 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The celebration of reading and literacy, which began in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday, will include story times, crafts, games, library card sign-ups, and other hands-on activities. Cincinnati Museum Center will be presenting programs at the Madisonville, Price Hill, and West End branches during the prior week as part of the library's celebration of Read Across America. Career Advancement Workshops. The library is partnering with Ohio Means Jobs, Cincinnati, Hamilton County, to present a series of career advancement workshops at the Oakley, Anderson, and Westwood branches beginning in March. Each series will consist of 3 sessions covering such topics as tailoring a resume to the current job market, perfecting an elevator speech, and preparing for an interview, organizing a job search. St. Patrick's Day. The main library will hold its 37th annual St. Patrick's Day celebration. This year's program will feature Celtic music by Dark Mull and a performance by the McGing Irish Dancers. The program will be held on Friday, March 15th at 10:45 a.m. Cincinnati Public Schools Citywide Art Exhibition. The Cincinnati Public Schools Citywide Art Exhibition will showcase artwork from Cincinnati Public School students in kindergartens through grade 12. The exhibit will be on display at the second floor connector from March 2nd to April 7th.
Great.
I wanted to
Okay,
ask you about the performances by the Bright Star Touring Theater. Is that a local group? Is that local?
I think the Bright Star is a local, I'm looking at
Where do
Chris.
they come from? I mean,
I'm not sure.
okay. Do they cost, they charge a fee, or are they doing this gratis program?
Well, sometimes some of the groups do charge a fee, but it's usually a small honorarium, generally speaking. I'm not totally familiar with them, but we have a lot of people that we book and they will say for free or for like a small $50 honorarium for coming.
all right, next on the agenda is Development Committee Report, and that would be Monica Conan.
Okay, from Stacy Dennison. So the Library Foundation's fall appeal generated 5% more in individual donations and contributions than the previous year. Donations are still being received as a result of the mailer and online efforts surrounding the appeal. The Johnson Foundation has renewed their support of the library with a gift of $10,000 to purchase an additional 50 seats for the very popular Treehouse program. Treehouse, as we know, is an online learning training platform that offers individualized advanced workforce development learning tracks. On January 30th, the Library Foundation welcomed the 5th writer-in-residence, Jessica Strasser, with a small reception to celebrate the growth of the program and honor all the past writers-in-residence. The 2018 Selection Committee and primary funder of the program, Naomi Tucker Gerwin. Friends of the Public Library. To better facilitate organizational coordination and communication, we have initiated a single point of contact approach with the Friends and library leadership. The Chief Development Officer is serving as the library's liaison to the Friends. The Winter Warehouse Sale is on January 17th through 20th, and despite harsh weather, hosted more than 1,600 shoppers, with revenues 11% higher than in 2018. Given the success of the Winter Warehouse Sale and the relocated June 2018 sale at the warehouse, previously held at the main library, the upcoming June 2019 sale will be hosted at the Friends Warehouse on June 1st.
If you put 1,600 people in that facility, you don't need heat.
You can't even move.
Where is the warehouse? Because I don't think I've been there.
It's
in
over by,
Hartwell.
It's on Vine Street in Wyoming.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
in the Wyoming
They've been
branch.
there a long time. I don't think I've been.
It's up a few blocks from where Drake
Have they been there
Hospital
for
used to
years?
be.
Yeah, they've been there for a number of years. Yeah.
I've given looks of them. I know who some of them are, but I haven't been to that.
And I'll tell you, the recycling stuff,
I know.
they get so much stuff, there is so much that goes into those recycling bins, it's unbelievable.
They get a lot of donations off the street. Every time we're there for a meeting, at least 3 or 4 people
People
come
come
in
in
and
with
just want to leave their donated items.
All right, next on the agenda are consent agenda items.
Move to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that concludes the meeting. Someone move to adjourn?
No need to.
Second.
Chair can adjourn the meeting.
All right, move to adjourn the meeting. The next meeting will be held on April 9th, 2019 at 4:30 at the Oakley Branch Library.